I want to welcome you all again to our latest installment of Connect with Brett, the Lake Stevens Chamber of Commerce series of conversations with Lake Stevens Mayor Brett Gailey. Before we begin our conversation today, I wanted to make a few quick announcements. First of all, we wanted to make sure that we thank all of our chamber investors for 2020. Our silver investors, including our newest silver investor, Heritage Bank, Republic Services, Wells Fargo, and Waste Management. And our two gold investors, Community Transit and Ace Hardware. These investors help us to be the organization that we are, helping businesses within the Lake Stevens area grow and connect with the community. So thank you very much to them. We also wanted to thank those of you that belong to the Chamber as members. Your continued membership has sustained us through this time and kept our spirits up as we see people renew and even join the Chamber. To know that we can be a catalyst for our community and to survive these strange times that we're in drives us to continue to be a resource for our members and those around us. So thank you very much for being members of the Chamber as well. A couple of events to tell you guys about real quick. Like coming up 1 week from today is our next networking after hours event. This will be on August 19th, so next Wednesday from 5 to 6:30 p.m. and it'll be held via Zoom. The following week after that, we have our morning mingle network event, which will be on Tuesday, August 25th, from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and again held via Zoom. Both of these, we hope you can join us for one or both of these networking opportunities. Feel free to stop by when you can and stay as long as you like for either of them. They're informal gatherings designed to connect the business leaders of Lake Stevens, all of you. The information for both of those networking events can be found on our website and will be in our newsletters as they come out over the next couple of weeks as well. The only other thing I have today is move on. So again, thank you all for being here today. I introduced somebody who everybody knows, Brett. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. It's been a couple months. I think the last time we met, we were locked in our bedrooms or closets or something, and
that's pretty much it.
No one was getting out or ever. We had little. We didn't know very much at that time. So I appreciate you having me coming back. I think what I would like to do is just do an overview of some things that are going on in the city. And recognize also that Councilmember Jorstad and Councilmember Dickinson are online with us as well. So I think I just want to kind of go over a couple things we have going on in the city that I think are some great things, and then take some questions. So with that, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share that right there. Do you see the City of Lake Stevens website? Is that what we're looking at? Yeah. Okay. Seeing some north-south head nods, so we're good. So one of the things that I ran on and wanted to make sure that we had going on in the city was a good transparency, and especially when it came to the budget. And I found it difficult as you looked at Excel spreadsheets to understand money in the city, revenues and expenditures. It gets pretty accountant-ish, and I live with one, so I know what that means. So I reached out real early and got the council's approval on doing a new system called ClearGov. And I wanted to show you where to find it so you can take a look at it when you get a chance. So this is the city website. If you go into government, if you go into finance, I think it's actually on the front page also, actually, isn't it? Yep, it is on the front page. So if you go into this transparency center and you hit that, you go into what's called ClearGov. And what we've done is we've fed in our budget, several years in the past budget and our current budget into ClearGov, which makes it a very easy format to take a look at. One of the things I'm having them do is fix this page. The census data is is not up to date, so they're working on that. But one of the things you can do is you can come in here and you can see our revenues and our expenditures. You can see the current debt of the city. If you want to get into more detail, you can jump into how does the city get money? What's our revenue streams? So you can jump into that, and it shows you a nice, easy, cop-friendly, lots of colors and pie chart of where your different revenue sources are. And you can even jump into that and go even further. It's right here. Taxes breakdown. And you can see where the taxes come from, property taxes and REIT taxes, B&O taxes. So this is a great resource if you want to come in and see the city, see what is going on as far as the finances are looking like, and just a great tool to help everybody understand the budget a little better and have better transparency with that. As we're talking about finances, we can talk about the current status of the city is very interesting. June, we actually had our sales tax revenue was $20,000 higher than what we projected in the budget. So what that means is, to me, is that people aren't going to Everett or Linwood and going to the mall. They're staying home and clicking on Amazon, and we're recovering those sales tax revenues. And Christine has been keeping her store heavily stocked. So those are great things for the city. And it's an interesting shift as well as far as buying habits and whether or not those will continue in the future and help out the city as people buy locally through the internet, if that makes sense. So those are good things. We might see in the next couple of months a dip in REIT proceeds just because we didn't have the houses being built there for a little bit. But then I think that will catch up. And you real estate agents, if you want to tell me what you're seeing in the market, I'm open ears. I have some optimism about sales prices of houses being higher than projected. I know my neighbor across the street put hers on the market this week at 480, and she's getting 520. So when I see that, then I see, increased REIT income and that sort of thing as well for the city. So the city, as far as income revenues, is not looking that bad, especially compared to our heavy box store owning cities, neighbor cities such as Everett and Linwood, that sort of thing.
Hey, Brett, real quick, can you explain what REIT is? Because I don't know, but some other people might, but I don't.
Yeah, it's
if nothing else, just for me.
It's a real estate excise tax. So
perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, real estate excise tax right there.
Perfect. Okay.
Are we still on this? Okay, yeah. So real estate excise tax, it's a tax on real estate.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about some projects that we have going on in the city. Do y'all see the map now? Map of Lake Stevens? Okay. So we still have Costco on the way. We've run into a couple little problems, but we're working through them. We have a group that appealed Costco, and so that's set us back on our timeline a little bit. If you don't know, there's certain times that you can work in what's called the wetlands. You can only work in them during the fish window, which is roughly end of July to say mid-September. So where this Costco project has several culverts, rebuilding of culverts, that sort of thing, the appeal has pushed us outside of this year's fish window and will push us into next year's fish window. So we're working through those issues. We'll get through them, but Costco is still a thing. Last night, the city council approved a a contract to do one of the phases of Costco, which is extending 91st across south, across 20th Street Southeast. And then Costco ends up right here. Another major project that won't happen until next summer now is this roundabout that goes in here at South Lake Stevens Road and Highway 9. So Costco, you end up seeing 24th Street and 91st Street coming together, and Costco goes in the middle. So that's how that works. All right. One of the major issues that I deal with as mayor is as Costco comes in, we're seeing a lot of developer interest on 20th Street, and with the recent change in zoning of 20th Street to commercial. So with that, we're seeing more of these parcels starting to get picked up so that you have additional commercial development that will complement Costco. One of the big problems we have on 20th Street is the water line. The Everett water line that runs from Spada Lake all the way down into Everett, that pretty much gives everybody, not everybody, but just a huge percentage of Snohomish County residents their water. Well, that water line runs just south of 20th Street. And so one of the problems we are running into is Everett's letting us to do things on that water line. And what we're asking for is a parking lot, taking a road across it. And right now they're saying no to those things. So as mayor, we're in quite a bit of negotiations with Everett right now to fix those problems. We actually have a development going in of an autoplex that is going to be our test case on this, and will be our work through with Everett to make sure that we can use the property over the water line. Because if businesses can't, it's right in the middle of where everybody wants to be. So parking lots, roads, not building buildings makes sense. So we'll get through it. And that'll be a big help for our economic development in making sure that 20th Street builds correctly and develops correctly along with Costco. Some of the things good things we got going on. I know Mary's on. She loves her parks. So we've got Frontier Heights Park going on right now. If you haven't been up to that, you should go check it out. We have a system of trails put in, asphalt trails. The playground equipment has been ordered, and that will go in. I think a new basketball court's been put in as well. Some parking has been put in down here. So that park is well on its way, and it's looking really good, especially for that community, getting that in. We are in design and planning phase of the first phase of the power line park. So you have the power line that runs north-south through the city. And then the first phase that we're going to look at doing next summer will be from 20th Street, where we currently have the ball fields, all the way to 8th Street here. And what's envisioned there is a running biking trail through the entire portion. This section here, the city owns, and we're going to design a dog park in there, a good regional looking dog park. And there's a couple reasons for that. This is a great area for dogs to be under the power lines. Where our current dog park is a great area to put some AstroTurf, turf sports fields where there's no power lines. Just makes more sense. So I want to build this dog park and then get the county to do some turf fields over here in the Caballero Hill Park. So that's the power line trails going on. That should be next summer. As many of you know, we've got the farmers market going on. Great asset to the city. Sarah's doing a great job. It's actually on today. If you haven't been down, go down today from 3 to 7. Lots of great vendors, just a really good vibe and atmosphere downtown, and using the new mill building is great as well. We are in the planning process of the new civic campus. So to orient you, here's Target, and here's the fire station. So the city owns this corner lot, and the library owns these 2 lots up to the north of it. So we've partnered with the library and with the sewer district, and we've picked a developer, Stowe Developers, out of Bothell. They did the McMenamins redevelopment area. So we picked them to partner with in doing a design or planning, some outreach, and design of a civic campus here that would include City Hall, library, and sewer district. And then we also think that there's some room here for some retail, commercial, coffee shop, that kind of stuff within that same complex. So we just picked those guys last week, and we'll start probably about a 9-month planning and designing process that will be great for the city. What else do we have going on? Okay. North Cove. If you haven't been down to the North Cove Park, it's just looking great. And then this summer, we actually got the bids back today to do phase 2, which is this area here behind City Hall. And that will include another small covered area, some bathrooms, and a playground, in addition to what we've done to North Cove. So that'll be a great asset. And we're running into budget season. So we'll start working on our budget for next year and seeing how that's going to turn out. I'm optimistic on it. And I think that's a good summary of what we have going on. Oh, no. Let me take back my time. We are working on annexations. So we are working with the county to annex in the rest of the city that encompasses the lake. So that's approximately this area here. And this area here, we're looking to annex by the end of the year. We did pass a 60% annexation of, where am I at? Of the Machias industrial area. So that will be this area right here. Will be brought into the city by the end of the year as well. So we're growing, lots of stuff going on. What's your questions?
I want to start with one, if that's okay. So, any updates on, and I doubt there are any, but I'm just curious, any updates on the 204 Highway 9 interchange, all that stuff? I saw some new paint marks, it looked like, out around the abandoned bank building and stuff when I was through there the other day, and thought maybe there was something going on, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, so that project was on hold. Now the last update I had, so the next phase on that is to do this lane from Market up to 4th Street. And I think that's been pushed to spring of next year.
Gotcha.
So then you won't see the rest of the project till like the next year. So it's still going. That's at the state's pace.
Right.
But yes, that is still a thing.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, Anybody got any questions? You want to go ahead and what's this? Why don't you
Yeah, I'll unshare this.
yeah, I was gonna say have you unshare your screen there, and then we can got a question in the chat box from Lance, and he says, "Can you share? Can you share the city's efforts, activities to address racial equality?"
Yeah. Let me figure out how to unshare this real fast so I don't multitask this. Now I just lost everybody.
There we go.
All right. Are we all back?
Yeah.
Great. Great question, Lance. So we are currently in the process. We've passed a resolution. Has it been a month and a half, Angie? Seems like it's been forever. About a month and a half.
That I was going to say, I think a month and a half.
Yeah. So we passed a resolution, obviously condoning, or not condoning, but against racism and very, coming out of the event of George Floyd, obviously creating a resolution out of that myself and the council members all got on board with. We're looking at doing some training for city directors, myself and the council members. We're currently in the process of figuring out what that training looks like. Angie's on that committee to figure that out. It's when you look at that sort of training, you want to do it justice, right? But you also have to worry about time. So how do you balance doing that subject justice and making sure that we're doing the right things as a city, and balancing out how much time is committed to that as well. So we're working in that way, Lance. And as far as our police department, I think that we have a top-notch police department. Those guys do great work. Their training is at standard or above in these areas. And if there's one area of the city I don't worry about, it's John and the police officers. So yeah, good stuff there.
Sure.
Can I add just a quick comment? We at Sherwood also came out with a statement. And one of the things that I took very personally when we developed that statement is we weren't just going to put words on paper and be done with it, right? I look at that statement every day, and I try to do something every day that supports the statement that we put out. So would just encourage you guys at the city, I would agree with your comments about the police department, to keep that in front of you and see what we can do as a community. The longer that things go on, I think the more unrest and people feeling like government is not responding happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. Thank you, Lance.
This is Sue Farrell. Can I ask a question? This is in regards to 20th South and 83rd intersection that is closed. It was our understanding that that would be done by the end of August. So my question is, with the schools not opening, with Mid-Cavallera down there, will the end of August date still be the same? And I ask because I live in that area and it's getting harder to get to the trestle with the two new developments off of 83rd.
Yeah. Sue, I'll be honest with you. I am not sure when that intersection is projected to be opened. I know that there's some work that has to be done on the south side, and I don't know if we can open up the north side without having that work done on the south side yet. But Sue, let me follow up on that, and I will let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate your question. Dovetail on that, Sue mentioned the schools coming up here in a month or so, or less than a month or so. And Nicole from Boys and Girls Club was asking, has the city been involved in any of the conversations around back to school? And if so, what does that support look like?
Nicole, real early on in the pandemic stuff, I was talking with Amy Beth quite a bit. We haven't talked I was thinking last week that I haven't talked with Amy in probably a good month. So to answer your question, I have not been involved with conversations with the school and going back to school. I'm not sure what my input would matter anyway, right? It's really out of the city's hands. It's a school district, state school department kind of a thing, and I'm not sure what my opinion would matter.
Good to know. Thank you. Another question down here. Let me see here. Might have been answered. Question from Chris Jacobson. As we continue to deal with speeding and unsafe walking conditions around the lake, I know the city can't take land to build sidewalks, but is there a plan to mitigate the continuous speeding issues around the lake?
Good question, Chris. The speeding issues and the sidewalk issues, sidewalks are always the bane of our city, and trying to increase the numbers of sidewalks along with costs. One of the things I'll look at in this next budget, especially with the annexation of the east side of the lake, is looking at adding another traffic officer. Right now we only have one. And I think that would help out with having some more presence. I know that people no longer speed on South Lake Stevens Road because Ackerman made quite the presence there, and I think people got the clue that it's 25 miles an hour there. So having said that, I think some increased enforcement, and maybe that's in the form of a new traffic officer, if we can fit that in the budget. Is the city trying to do anything with the commercial property on Vernon Road? Which property is that, Chris?
That's at the old Bayliner.
Sound Salmon? Sound Solutions? Salmon Solutions?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a piece of private property. So those owners will move it when they can. I did have a meeting with them, along with John Spencer and Jim Hagan, who know that family, and we are letting them know that the city would love to be involved with facilitating movement of that property. So it is something on my radar. It's something I'm working on. Ultimately, it's up to a private property owner to decide what they want to do with that property.
Thanks, I understand. They continue to blame the city for not being cooperative on trying to sell the land, is what we keep hearing as residents that are a few doors down from them. So just kind of curious of.
Well, that when we spoke with them early June, that never came up, and I'll be as friendly to make that happen as possible. So
I appreciate that. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, it's a great piece of property, and it's underutilized as far as I'm concerned, and but we can get there.
Cool. Russell, you put a question in the question box. You wanna unmute and ask?
Sure, thank you. Mayor, you commented that you've seen June revenue for the city stay about the same or increase a little bit. But how would you assess the retail businesses and restaurants in the city? Are you seeing economic activity kind of increase or decrease since COVID started in March?
Well, so one of the things I don't do is I don't look at where the sales tax revenues come from. So I really can't answer that in a knowing fashion. I guess the question would be more to this group, who are your retailers and your restaurant owners, right? How are you seeing it? My assumption is especially with restaurants, if you can only be at 50%, that doesn't scale for a lot, right? So my assumption is their revenues aren't pre-COVID. just because they can't get the number of seats in there, right? So, but then my assumption is Christine's business is probably doing great because everyone was staying home doing projects for the last couple of months, right? So I think that they're probably lower, but we are seeing higher sales tax revenue due to people buying from home and UPS and FedEx showing up instead.
Very good. We had a question also from Joella. She was wondering if you had any information, what you could tell us about the trestle enlargement and anything that might be going on with the trestle.
So the trestle is, it's an interesting topic, and I need to talk to Steve Hobbs about it to get an update. I know it's falling. I don't want to say it's falling, but so the last time it was talked about in the legislature, it was the number 2 project for the state of Washington behind the bridge going across the Columbia to Portland. My concern is that you now have 2 projects down in Seattle, the West
Seattle Bridge.
West Seattle Bridge, and then there's another bridge, right? So my concern is that those might be taking precedence now over the trestle. So it's obviously still a topic. The trestle project is a state project. It's got to come from state money. So it really becomes their priority as to when it comes around. As mayor, it's obviously something that I will talk about with our state legislature and anybody who will listen about it. Back in March, we had 7 of our Snohomish mayors, Snohomish County mayors went back to DC, and we brought this up as a topic again with our congressional delegation back in DC. So we keep talking it. The state just needs to figure out where the money's coming from.
Very cool.
Steve, speed radars. I think we have 1 trailer that we can put up. We could try a radar on different areas and put that up. See if that helps out.
And the little temporary ones that you kind of can move around town, like strapped to different telephone poles and stuff. I've seen those are pretty handy as well, I thought.
Yeah. And along those lines, one of the things we did, the last couple of years, there's been not a lot, but there's been a couple of major issues at Davies Beach Park. And so last week we put up a temporary camera system there. And our problems went down quite a bit over the weekend. With that there, we'll ultimately put up a permanent camera system in that park just to monitor what's going on there. And unfortunately, we have to do that so that people and kids know that if they do something they shouldn't be doing, it's going to be on video, and we can deal with that. So that's something we have at Davies Beach.
And that park is fully transferred to the city now from the county, correct?
That's correct. That is a city park now.
Fantastic. Cool. Any other questions for Brett while we have him? Quick before he gets away.
I
don't see many.
Cannabis hasn't skipped a beat. You are correct, Lindsay.
That's a good Lindsay. We got most of the chat box questions taken care of for the most part.
I think we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else? Hey, real estate agents, tell me what you're seeing in the market. I know I got a couple of you on there. Juanita? Monica?
I'll talk.
Go ahead, Steve.
We're seeing a lot happening. We've been unusually busy the last couple months. Actually, ever since the shutdown just kind of took an opposite turn. So we have been busy and uptick in people. Some are saying it's because people want to get out of Seattle. So for various reasons, and looking for homes that have, good internet and an extra room for an office. So that's kind of telling, I think. So that's been, and people don't seem to be afraid of it, afraid of the restrictions about showing, because we are limited in how we can show. But people are rolling with it, and they're just fine. So we haven't had any trouble that way.
And are you seeing offers at listed price, or are you seeing an increase in those?
For the homes, it's been really well. People have been pricing homes right, and so I haven't seen a lot of the frenzy of overbidding and stuff like that. There've been a couple, of course, but not the frenzy that it was. They've been pretty good. It's been pretty easy.
So Juanita brought up an interesting point in this COVID issues and kids doing online courses. Broadband has become a hot topic, right? So one of the things, I reached out to the state commerce department, a guy named Russ Elliott, who is the broadband guy for the state, and talked to him about what does broadband look like in Lake Stevens. And if you didn't take it, there's a little survey on broadbandgov.wa, and you can take a survey to see how fast your internet is or is not. I think Christine was running at a whole 0.5 megabyte per second, just tearing it up. And so what that gave us was a lot of really good data on Lake Stevens, where we're fast and where we're slow. And so with that, I've partnered with Ziply, who took over Frontier, and they are working out they're working on a grant. There's some grant money that we can apply for. And so they're writing the grant, and then we will stamp the city's name on it to do a joint application and try to upgrade one of the Ziply's problems is they have 3 central operating locations around the city, and the equipment in those locations is antiquated. So we're going to try to shoot for a grant to upgrade those things so that people can get a little faster internet, so our kids are studying better from home, and we're not lagging on these Zoom conferences wondering what every third word was that someone said.
Be sure and include my address in that, Brett.
Well, you're in the county, Christine, so I don't know if I can help you.
Well, I'm Lake Stevens City.
No, you.
Stevens zip code.
Angie put that link to that survey that Brett mentioned, the broadband.wa.gov website, if you want to go out and take that. Some instructions on how to do that. Steve, you were going to share some more real estate data, though. You want to go ahead and do that?
Sure, I'll do that. Our office manager announced, I think it was yesterday, we have 5 active listings in our office right now, 4 of them being land. So we have, and we probably have 35 agents, I think, in our office, 35 agents. So what I'm telling you is that inventory is at an all-time low. I mean, like Juanita said, the market is on fire. People are buying. There seems to be no hesitation on that. The problem is you can't get enough listings to list. People, the biggest problem that I see in the market is that, and the biggest sellers are people who are retiring and want to move somewhere. They want to get out of the area. They're tired of hearing all this stuff about Seattle, what have you. They're up to their eyeballs in that, but they just don't know where to go. So
no, I see the same patterns. Absolutely. Yep.
Matt, I have another question or an ask. As we move into the new norm for school, there are people like me who are grandparents that may and may not be watching their kids or helping them. If there could be a push for senior discounts on internet, Because generally speaking, the internet we have, I don't need a higher speed. I don't need any of those. But when my grandkids come, and if they're going to study, that would be a great thing for the companies to maybe look at.
It's good input. Thank you, Sue.
Yeah, good stuff, Sue. What else we got?
There was one other event I wanted to mention to you guys. Next Wednesday morning, this doesn't have to do with Brett necessarily, but I just want to bring it up as people are thinking of another question. The Economic Alliance is doing coffee chats with Susan Del Bene, and it's an online virtual thing. Check out the EASC website. I'm sure it's right on there. But it would be a good time to connect with her about things that are going on in the area. They're looking to get some more input just like this. It'll be I believe it's going to be a similar setup to this, where she'll have a little talk and then there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. So be sure you check that out. EASC coffee chats next Wednesday morning. They just changed the time to 8 a.m. So just want to bring that up there. Yeah, Juanita.
I have a question. You talked about the Chapel Hill Civic Center. What's the timeline on that?
So we established a timeline of planning, public outreach, and design that would bring us up into March of next year. And what that'll do is that going through that process, March of next year, we should be able to know what we want to build there and what the financial package looks like, and how we'll be able to pay for it, all those sorts of things. And then we'll need to make a good assessment at that point that says, are we financially ready at that point to get going with it, or do we need to wait another year? 20th Street development and Costco development really becomes the key figures in there on whether or not we'll have good established revenues coming in. Yep.
Another thing that Lance reminded me of, a couple weeks ago, I know the council formed a subcommittee or something to discuss a full-time mayor. Any updates on that?
Yeah, so Angie, you want to take that? You were on the committee? Or I can do it?
Sure, happy to.
Yeah.
So the subcommittee made up of myself and Councilman Peter Sagan and Councilman Ewing met with Jean and Anya from the city staff to talk through the details around changing our current mayor position from a part-time position to a full-time position. So we looked at a lot of information and data and comparisons to other cities, both within our county, but also throughout the state. We talked a little bit about it last night at the city council meeting. It was a discussion item. Information was shared with the full council. And then our next council meeting, my understanding is it will become an action item. And so the council will have an opportunity to review all of that information that was presented and then potentially make a motion and vote on whether that position will be full-time moving forward.
Just a quick high-level question. So when you looked at the different cities around the state for a city our size, were most mayors full-time or were they part-time?
That's a great question. It was really split. And what I learned I think the point that stuck with me the most is there's a real difference between cities who have similar populations to ours, but where that population is stagnant, where that's been the population for years and years, and a population similar to ours that is really growing. That's grown quite a bit over the last 6 or 8 years and is poised to continue to grow. And that, kind of the sense was in cities where the population is stagnant, a part-time mayor is probably okay. But when there's movement and decisions needing to be made and negotiations and advocacy at the state and federal level in terms of funding and bringing resources and building the infrastructure that's needed for a growing city such as ours, it may make more sense to invest in a full-time position, someone that can really dedicate their full-time work to the work of the city.
Thank you.
I don't know if that answers your question, but that was a point that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, no, that's good insight.
Good stuff, Angie. Thank you very much for sharing. Appreciate it.
Mary, you got something?
Yes. Yes. First of all, I love the process that this council members and staff did to try to understand this and why it's important for Lake Stevens. And I so appreciate that the mayor is willing to reach out to the community before we'd actually do that vote in 2 short weeks, less than 2 weeks now. But I do appreciate that you are willing to be the transparent person that you are in this issue, and to let people at least have a say or make a comment or ask questions in the 2 weeks we have. And I know that's extra work for staff as well, but I do appreciate it. Just wanted to let you know.
You bet, Mary.
Cool.
Thank you for your support on it.
Another issue that I've heard a little bit about here in the last 3 or 4 weeks or so is food trucks in the area. I know that there was some work being done on that. There was a temporary ordinance in place, and where are we with food trucks?
The food trucks, we are on a temporary ordinance, and I think we should have the regular ordinance coming up here real soon, right? By the September maybe, and we'll should make what we have now permanent. So that's I think we're seeing successes out of the food truck ordinance. I know Lake Stevens Brewery has capitalized on it. I thought it was odd. I was talking to Brock, the owner, and he told me that they had some cheese sandwich guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw that, yeah.
and he told me that I forget what it was, they sold 160 sandwiches or something. But that's but that 60% of them were vegan cheese. What is that? What is it? I don't even know what that means.
Careful, Brad.
I don't know what it means. I had to understand what vegan cheese was. I thought cheese was cheese.
Yeah.
Hey, quick follow-up on that. Is the tax revenue coming into the city from those food trucks?
You know, that's a great question, and it's something that I will track because I want to make sure that we are doing that. Yeah. And you know, along those lines, Lance, thanks for reminding me on this. The farmers market is one of my concerns with the farmers market was if it would take away from our brick and mortar businesses downtown. The reality of it is our brick and mortar businesses on farmers market day are running out of stuff. Our Subway runs out of stuff. Jay's Market gets hit with a lot of people going in there. So it's really boosting our downtown core businesses, which I did not anticipate, but I'm very grateful for.
Very cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
Anybody else got any other questions for Brett this
A
afternoon?
question based off of Lance's question.
Sure.
So the destination sales tax, obviously that's what we're talking about when we're talking the food truck. And at the farmer's market, those little businesses that sell stuff, are they required to transmit sales tax because
Yes.
they're selling out of Lake Stevens?
Yes.
Is there something in place to where that's transparent, or how are we sure that we're getting that sales tax, I guess? And I guess that stems, I've always wondered that from Aquafest as well.
So I know that as I understand it, the agreement they have with Sarah, who runs the farmers market, requires them to report those revenues to this city. They have to have a city license to do it. So I think that's how that works, Christine.
Yeah, and I was
But
going to
then,
say,
the question does become when they go back to their home in Granite Falls, do they actually do that reporting? And it's something that we can follow up on, that's for sure.
Well, I think a lot of it is just as a business owner having to be honest, because when I go to other people's homes or businesses, if I sell any actual products at the end of the year, I fill out my B&O retail sales tax, and I have to break it all down by city code and percentages, and then I send it all one check in, and then it gets distributed. So I mean, I think it's like any business, we're hoping that they're, you know, honoring the proper channels and you know, being upstanding with making sure that they're reporting those things. But I mean, I literally have to break it all down by every city and their codes, and it's easy to do. You can, you know, but it's just one more step as a business owner that you should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And something we can follow up on, that's for sure.
Very cool. Anything else there for Brett this afternoon? Cool. Okay. I think that's all we got. Anything in closing, Brett?
No, just thanks for what each and every one of you do in the community is awesome. Your businesses and your establishments that you have in the city are what make the city run, and that's what we appreciate. And anything the city can do to help you out, just let us know. I know we helped out several of the businesses with those CARES Act grant money, and that's a little bit of pride I have in the staff that we were able to get that money out so quick. There's some cities that still haven't gotten that money out and don't know what they're going to do with that money, and I think that's a source of pride for me and our staff that we were able to get that money out so quickly. But we needed to, because we need to keep you people employed and employing other people and keeping our local economy running. So thank you for what you do.
Great. Thank you very much, Brett, for being here today. And thanks everybody for coming. We appreciate it. We're going to work on getting this recording, kind of maybe do a little bit of editing on it, and then we'll try to post it up someplace, possibly on our Facebook group, Discover Lake Stevens, the Facebook group there. So keep an eye there for it. Probably also our website, lakestevenschamber.com. So keep an eye on those two places. We hope you can join us next week and the week after for our networking events. Again, they're pretty casual events. Just kind of come when you can, and say hi. It's another chance to kind of get to know more of the business leaders here in Lake Stevens area. So hope you can join us for that. And with that, I have nothing else. So thank you all for coming, and have a great rest of your week. Head on down to the farmers market this afternoon if you get a chance, and take care, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
See ya.
Thank you, Brett.